We have 11 present, 1 presiding, and 0 absent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All my fellow commissioners, Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which will greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Field of Honor celebration. It won't be at the Belmont like it has in the past with 1,000 flags. There will be 100 flags, but that will be down at the high altitude skating center. And it's going to be really beautiful, and everyone will be able to see it from the highway. But if you have a chance, stop by and check that out. Okay, working right into section 1. We have bid openings, public hearings, presentations, and/or public hearings. We'll start with a bid opening. This is item 1, communication number 2021-411. Mary McCormick, Historic Preservation Officer, requesting Council of Commissioners for their authorization for a bid opening on September 8th, 2021, Committee of the Whole agenda for the Caretaker's House Restoration Project. Mary, the floor is yours. Oh, do we have proof of publication?
Madam Chair, there is proof of publication. It does appear to be in order.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Council of Commissioners. I probably can't do this.
County Attorney Joyce.
This first bid is from Reynolds Construction out of Florence, Montana.
And Madam Chair, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that appears to be in order.
Thank you.
Again, this is from Reynolds Construction Company, Inc., out of Florence, Montana, and their bid is in the amount of $374,000 and, $374,320.51. The next bid is from John Snyder of Butte. It says the bid bond being approved, can get it tomorrow.
County Attorney Joyce.
I know they were having,
Madam Chair, if that was a requirement of the bid, sealed bid, then we can't read that bid because they didn't comply with the requirements to have a bid bond at the time of the bid opening.
So County Attorney Joyce, I would make it null and void. Okay, thank you. Does that conclude the bids that we've received? Mary?
pardon me?
Does that conclude the bids that we've received?
That concludes the bids.
Thank you. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move to refer this to the Historic Preservation Office and Community Development and have them come back to this council with a recommendation
And placed on file.
and placed on file.
Oh, on the question, we have a motion and a motion and a second to refer this to the Historic Preservation Office and Community Development. On the question, Commissioner O'Neill.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just, was there an engineer's estimate?
Mary, was there an estimate, construction estimate on this item? Engineer's estimate?
We had an estimate, but it was done a few years ago in the amount of $160,000. Oh, excuse me, I believe it was $140,000, and that was by Markovich.
That was several years ago.
It was a few years ago, yes, and as you know, materials costs for construction have dramatically increased in the last year or so.
Anything else on the question? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate you coming forward with these bids. As we all recall, here about 3 years ago, we had a heavy discussion about the caretaker's house. At that time, the Historic Preservation Committee had a plan to have some of the kids from the South Campus of Montana Tech assist with building it, and they were going to assist with labor, and that never took place. And at that time, shortly thereafter, we received between insurance money and grants about $170,000. And I guess my question is, we're about $200,000 off here, and we're 3 years down the road. I just don't know where this road ever ends. We keep going this route and going this route. And I was out at the reservoir here just within the last month, and the house looks to me has nothing been done. The fence is around it, the weeds are growing, and it's all boarded up. So, I mean, I just don't know how long I've served on this commission and made comments about this caretaker's house, and I sure would like to seen it been done 3 or 4 years ago like it was going to be done, but I really have my doubts right now at $374,000 if it's an equitable investment for Butte-Silver Boat to make it this time. I would like to see the $170,000 go to retain the park. The park grass was dead. There's water available. I just think that we got to use our financial ingenuity a little better than we are at this time. Thank you.
And Commissioner Fisher, this is simply a bid opening. There really is no action to be taken other than referring this back to their department. Thank you. Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mary, how much money is budgeted for this, for the year?
Mary?
We have so far secured $168,000. $48,000 of that is an insurance payment that Butte-Silver Bow received for damages to the house. There's a $100,000 grant that we received from the Montana State Historic Preservation Office, and we received that last August. It took a little while to get it finalized, and then we had some other drawings that we had to get prepared before we could put it out to bid. And with the way things happened, in the last, with COVID and construction changes, we kind of held off until now to submit it. That bid is very much contingent. It's on the monies being used for the restoration of the house, and the house being opened up as part of it being partially opened up as a visitor center for the public. We also got about $15,000. We have a secured grant from the tourism office. Eileen has reviewed that grant and has made comments, and we've sent it back to them, and they've agreed to make the changes that Eileen has requested. So I would be bringing that to the council for approval of signature by the chief executive when it arrives. We have $11,000 grant from SARTA. We have a $10,000 contribution by Butte CPR towards the project. Butte CPR has also donated at a minimal cost, offered a kitchen cabinet set. And we have other donations. I would just like to say, I think the bid from, I think that the project could be accomplished for less than that. And I know that SARTA right now is opening up another granting opportunity. And I know that in the past, and I believe so now, that they have been very interested in this project, and and they would be willing to grant more money towards it, I believe. So that's where we're at right now. But again, both the funds that we received from the State Historic Preservation, all the funds that we received all have to go towards the house. They couldn't be used on other improvements at that. And I would just like to say, it may not look like it from the outside, but there has been a lot of work done on the house, on the inside. There's been a lot of volunteer effort in the last couple of years that included members of the Historic Preservation Commission, Butte CPR members from the general community, and actually a couple of Council of Commission members who have come down, and they took out all the damaged lath and plaster that had been holes knocked in by vandals. That's all been removed, and what it does is reveal that house has excellent bones. The foundation's good, the roof's good. We've also cleaned up the inside, and so it's really ready to go for rehabilitation. Thank you, Mr. Sorge.
Commissioner Mankins?
Thank you, Madam Shaw. So once it's referred, I just want to know the process, this going forward. Maybe new commissioners and I've forgotten the process, so I'm ignorant of that. So once this is referred back to the historical preservation, does it come back to us for approval?
Mary, would you like to answer that? What steps happen once we refer this to your department? County Attorney Joyce.
Madam Chair, so the typical process is that the department would review the bid to determine whether it's in compliance with the request and all of the requirements set forth in the sealed bid package that was put out to the public. And then if the recommendation was to proceed with awarding the bid, a new communication would be submitted to the council to request approval to enter into a contract with the successful bidder.
Any further question? On the question, Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Chairman Straw. I'm a bit perplexed here and confused by this bid process. I'm the commissioner assigned to the Historical Preservation Committee, and since I've been there, I've been kind of keeping track of this building and all that, and there has been some great work done inside. And with this bidding process, I see this guy's name and I see a Reynolds Construction and all that stuff. Are we bidding this for a general contractor to come in and do the work, say as the wiring and the plumbing or anything like that? Or is there still room for volunteer to use volunteer, say, work from the VOTEC or other entities, say the apprenticeship programs located here in Butte.
I'm not sure who to ask to answer that, but Ms. McCormick, would you like to? take a
Commissioner
stab?
Reardon? Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, Commissioner Reardon. The bidding document was structured so that a contractor or a company would provide a bid for the entire scope of work, and then in the scope of work included all the necessary work to rehabilitate the house and bring it back to livable conditions, electrical wiring and plumbing, with the idea that they would probably have subcontractors.
Right.
It's just very difficult to depend on, I think, for some of that volunteer labor on that. I guess I was uncertain how to structure that, and so that's how the bidding document went out.
All right. Thank you, Mary.
Commissioner Sorge?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I remember right, part of this is also Public Works, so shouldn't this also go to the Public Works to review also? Don't they?
I conferred with our Public Works Director, and he suggested that I ask Mary, and Mary, she works for the Community Development Department,
Okay,
and that's where it would
thank you.
be reviewed and brought back to this body, is my understanding. Mary?
Thank you, Chairman Shaw. Councilmember Sorge, when I review this, I've been working closely, hand in hand with Pat Canine and Angie at Public Works, and with the Karen Burns, and Pat Holland. And so when I review this, it won't just be me, it'll be our committee. Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
Commissioner Justin Fortune?
Thanks. I just have two questions. One of them, how big is this building now? Is it like 1,000 square feet, or
Ms. McCormick?
just like a rough idea?
$1,500.
Okay. And then, am I right to ask another one?
Follow up, Commissioner?
What's the end use of this thing? Like, if all this happens?
It's been proposed for use, one thing as a visitor center. There's a large living room on the main floor, wood floors, beautiful fireplace. And it would be a visitor center where the public could enter the building, and we would have interpretive materials about the history and natural environment of Basin Creek and the development of Butte Water Company, our water system. But also at the visitor centers would be a place that people that wanted to go up and access the reservoirs, it would be a place where they would come in and sign in to go up to the reservoirs and sign in to go out. And then what the discussion has been is that the upstairs of the house, there's 3 very large bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs, would be reserved for a host that would man the visitor center and help monitor activities at the park and the reservoir. As you know, there's Butte's Basin Creek reservoirs are a very valuable resource that we need to keep close watch over. But Butte-Silver did receive a $10 million grant from DNRC to build the water treatment plant, and that grant was contingent on Butte-Silver opening up the reservoirs to the public. And so I think Public Works is working towards that commitment. In fact, opened the reservoir for a while this summer before the fire season demanded that they shut it down. But so this will play an important role in helping manage activities and make Basin Creek a secure place for visitors.
Commissioner Sorge?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have been for this all along. I think it's important that we do it, but I'm really struggling with paying double from what the estimate was several years ago. You know, I think we should probably either get another idea of what the engineering cost is, but, to me right now, paying double of what the engineering cost seems crazy to me. And, we're going to be going through a lot of time, a lot of people's time, and to come back and, it just seems like we're kind of spinning our wheels for something that's going to cost double what it.
I think at this time, all we're doing is sending it back to the appropriate departments, and then they'll come back with their recommendation. At that time, we can talk about it and decide if we don't accept their recommendation. That's kind of where it ends up. But Commissioner Callahan, did you have
Thank you,
comment?
Chairman Shaw. I think it's just like any other bid we have. You send it back to the department that reviews it. Obviously, the bid's double of what they expected. They have the right to refuse the bid. They can put it back out for bid, and hopefully we'll get somebody with a reasonable price that can do the job, is what I believe. Is that right, Attorney Joyce?
Commissioner O'Neill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Per square foot, it's $250. That's the number, I guess, and I know we're carrying this on, but I just have a hard time even accepting this bid, which that's obviously not my thing to accept the bid, but however, even with a 2-year-old engineering estimate, I mean, it's hard for me to even accept that. Even, I guess, never mind. I guess I'm done with that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Mankins?
Thank you, Madam Shaw. Yeah, I would like kind of piggyback off of what Commissioner O'Neill was saying. I think that we can reject the bid. Can we reject the bid right now? Make a motion to reject the bid?
I believe that the process is to send it back to the appropriate departments, at least they're the experts, they're the ones that know what the cost of materials are and everything else, and I would certainly hope that we would give them an opportunity to at least come back to this body, and then we can decide it. That's still our decision to make. Follow-up, Commissioner Mankins?
Thank you, Madam Shaw. Who is the experts that we're talking about?
Public Works Department?
I thought it was
Whoever
going to
got
be, I
materials.
thought it was going to be referred back to historical preservation.
Well, if
Is
you,
there experts in historical preservation?
Commissioner Mankins, if you were hearing what Mary said, she is like the point person, but she works with several departments. She works with the building maintenance people, Pat Holland. She's got the engineer, Pat Canine, Mark Neary. There's several people at the table to make that determination. But she is the point person because it is historic preservation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Commissioner Shea?
Could we please call for the vote?
Thank you. So we have closed the opportunity to have questions, and so we have a motion and a second to move these bids back to the departments that were mentioned, the Community Development and Historic Preservation Office, and their other people that sit at the table for that, and await their recommendation. And I just did Sean's, you could just say so moved. I need a second. Sorry. We have a motion and go ahead, make the motion, Josh. Sean. We did. It's done. Oh, we have a motion and a second, and it's already been done. Yeah, okay. So I would call for a vote. Anyone care to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 2 nay.
Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving along to our presentations. We have item 1, Communication 2021-395, Mindy Deal, Foster Grandparent Program Director, and Kelly Moody, Senior Companion Program Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence for presentation on Wednesday, September 8th, 2021, for our annual request for funds supporting Rocky's Foster Grandparent and Senior Companion Programs. Mindy Deal and Kelly Moody, please. Do you have something to give us? Oh, boy, handouts, I love it.
Up here. Can you hear me now? Okay. So I'm Mindy Deal. I'm the program director for the Foster Grandparent Program. And then I have Kelly Moody. She's the program director for the Senior Companion Program. I've been requesting funds as a program director for the last 4 years. with Mr. Palmer, so I'm honored to be sitting in front of all the commissioners of Butte-Silver Bow. It's a first for me. So we're here today to request $5,300 to be split between the two programs. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the foster grandparent program. It should be your first handout that you have. So foster grandparents are positive role models in the classroom. They are on a limited income. So for example, a family of one, they can't make more than $25,000 a year. So they truly depend on the non-taxable stipend that they earn, which is $3 per hour. You have three handouts in your packet. The first is the letter that I mailed requesting the $5,300. So the first packet, that senior companion, so we're talking about foster grandparent program. That's the senior companion program. Do you have a second packet? There should be.
Yep, there's two.
Two packets?
Yep.
Not brochures, there's. Kelly, do you have the foster grandparent? I'm sorry. So the first, maybe I'll wait. Let me talk about the history. We've been, Rocky Mountain Development Council, we're in HRDC, we're located in Helena. They have been the sponsoring agency for these AmeriCorps grants since 1965. We've been in the Butte community since 1972, I believe. We've had the program here, a long-standing, really good relationship with the Helena School District, Head Start, and Early Head Start. Right now, got it. We'll get our ducks in a row. Got it, and then, okay. So we'll go back to the foster grandparent program. Just in a brief, it's hard to talk about fiscal year 21. We were kind of in a pandemic, so I couldn't really pull numbers for you. So to get a true reflection on the impact of our program, I pulled numbers from fiscal year 20, and we have a July 1st start date for our fiscal year. So that's your two-pager. So the foster grandparent program is in 7 counties. However, Butte-Silver Bow is our largest county that we serve. So these numbers are as a whole. It's just a breakdown of our volunteers, who they serve, how many students they served, the impact that we've had not only on our senior volunteer, but the students that we serve. You have a second handout which says the foster grandparent program, Butte, Montana, and it's just a one-pager. It looks like, it looks like this. So we just entered in, we were just awarded with a new 3-year grant which started July 1st, which will go through 2024. With our federal grant, we're required to match it with at least 10% non-federal funds. We go a little bit over every year with the 10%. So we are funded for $386,345. And that's so we can serve up to 60 volunteers. In our grant, we are slotted to support that with $43,597. So that's why we're here today. We get support from Lewis and Clark County Mill. You'll see the bulk of our support comes from them. Butte-Silver Bow County, the 5,300 split in 2 would help the 25 volunteers down here with recognition, physicals. We require that they get an annual physical examination. Meals, we're required to have 24 hours of in-person, in-service trainings. So we have those trainings at the Belmont Senior Center. We like to, although it's a donation base, we like to help the Belmont out as much as we can. Transportation, and then we're required to have excess liability insurance. So I guess the main point is none of the funding that we request today goes towards my salary, my travel. It's purely to our volunteers. I'm not going to reiterate what I put on the handout. You'll see the sites that we have volunteers at. You will notice that we had a pretty big decrease in volunteers from FY20 to FY22. 17, we lost 17 volunteers. Sadly, several due to death, COVID, aged out of the program. But we're gearing up to recruit more volunteers in beautiful Butte, Montana. So I'm here today just to ask for $5,300 to be split between the two programs. It'll go towards fiscal year 22 budget, and I'll have Kelly Moody talk a bit about her senior companion program. I should ask, do you have any questions about the foster grandparent program?
Hi, my name is Kelly Moody. I'm the director of the Senior Companion Program. I'm not quite used to standing at a podium, so this is kind of the first for me. But thank you for taking the time to see Mindy and I about our programs. We're pretty passionate about not only AmeriCorps Senior, but the volunteers that serve the program and the communities they assist in. For my program, like Mindy's, the volunteers consist of adults 55 and older with a limited income that help homebound seniors and adults with disabilities maintain independent living through companionship and transportation. Transportation is the biggest need in our communities amongst our seniors. So the handouts that you have, like similar to Mindy's, the fiscal year 21 is the most accurate before the pandemic. So like the foster grandparent program, the pandemic had really put, I guess you could say, a hurting on these programs for several reasons. Seniors that are isolated, they couldn't get out to do their normal grocery shopping, medical visits, and so forth. But also the volunteer count decreased because of deaths or health conditions. So recruitment is definitely in the forecast to go forward. Butte is my second largest county, Helena being, or Lewis and Clark being the first. So as you can see on the handouts, for the volunteer hours served in fiscal 20 was 48,000 hours. So these volunteers for the whole program, they're pretty dedicated and they put a lot of hours in to help homebound seniors. But also, I want to mention this program isn't just about the clients, it's about the volunteers as well. The volunteers, not only the extra financial support that they need, just for their own daily lives, but for social and physical health. It increases their health by getting out and getting into the community after they retire, instead of sitting stagnant at home. So I'm not going to go over the handout that is in front of you, but I just wanted to piggyback on the foster grandparent program, as well as, you know, emphasizing the need for the support in Silver Bow. Just in my program, transportation alone is the most costly. And I guess, with the handouts that you have in front of you, the trifolds. So this is part of one of our recruitment techniques that when Mindy and I go out, I have one for not only recruiting volunteers, but also clients as well. Because clients, we've had a turnover in clients, you know, once again, because of the pandemic, a lot of deaths occurred. So we're also trying to get the word out to the clients in the community as well that need assistance and their families. So does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you very much, Mindy and Kelly. Any council members have any questions about the program? Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions for you, but I just want to say that what you do is wonderful.
Thank you.
And I thank you for doing it and for obviously being passionate about it as you are. I just really feel warm and fuzzy right now after listening to you guys, so thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to add, you're probably wondering, what about the foster grandparents? Are they going to serve this school year? Butte School District, all the volunteers are going back on Monday, the 13th. Aware Early Head Start, those volunteers have been serving throughout the pandemic. And then Head Start, some started on the 30th, and then the rest of the crew will start on the 20th. So all of them will be serving, so they won't just be sitting at home isolated.
All right. It's a great program. Thank you very much, and I hope that you have more volunteers. Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to give you a thanks also. You know, I know of people that participate in your program. I know people that volunteer, and I do go into the schools often, and I see these grandparents helping these kids, and they do an incredible job. And these are assets to our community that most people don't see. They don't hear about unless they're, receiving some of them. But what you guys do is wonderful for the community, and we can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Mankins.
Thank you, Madam Shaw, and I want to thank you, Mindy and Kelly, for coming tonight and speaking and making the trek down here. And for somebody that is employed by Butte-Silver, Butte School District Number 1, special thanks. I know it would go out from Superintendent Jonart to all of the principals, to the kids, the families, Silver Bowl County. We are very fortunate to have both of these programs within our community and thriving, and we're very special thanks. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mankins. Anybody else? All right. Thanks again. Thanks for coming all the way out here.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have item 2 is communication number 2021-402. Philip Borup, YMCA Chief Executive Officer, requesting council commissioners for their concurrence for presentation on Wednesdays, September 8, 2021, to report on the YMCA pool contract and our community impact. Mr. Borup.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So, Madam Chair, Commissioner Shaw, and members of the council, I appreciate the opportunity to come here. Chief Executive Gallagher, glad you're here as well. It's quite humbling. My name is Philip Borup. I'm the CEO and Executive Director for the YMCA and have been for the last 9 years. And it's been a ride. It's been a great ride. And we very much value and appreciate the partnership that we have with BSB. We've worked closely with the county on many things, many projects, and we're grateful for that. It's my pleasure to present a little bit more than how do we spend the money kind of thing. It goes far beyond that. It goes into impact. How are we influencing the community? What's our reach? Those kind of things. So I have some slides here to kind of help guide the conversation, or at least the presentation. Those that have worked with me know that I can go on for hours, and I don't want to do that to you. So I'm going to try and keep it to bare minimum, but also convey what the actual impact is and express our appreciation. So go ahead. So our financial assistance, as you can see here, we have provided financial assistance to over 4,000 individuals this past year. So all of these numbers are for the last year. And these individuals participated in membership activities as well as programs. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We made a decision years ago to make our fees income-based. So like for instance, if you want to be a member, it starts at $50,000 a year. household income, there could be a discount. And it goes all the way down to 70%, and in some cases, full free access to the program or the membership. And that's really had an impact on those that really would not normally have opportunity to access this asset and resource that our community has. So it's been one of our main mission points is to never turn anybody away because they can't afford it. And we also take into consideration special circumstances and the number of dependents that you have. Go ahead, next one. So since we're really focused more on the pool, but I want you to know, although we're going to talk a little bit about the pool, the impact that the pool has goes far beyond the waters within the aquatic center. And so we'll talk a little bit about that, but then, how that might impact. You can see here a little over 2,000 youth learned the life-saving skill of swimming at your YMCA. Let me tell you a little bit about why that's really important. I remember years ago looking up on the CDC's website and finding that Montana was one of 10 states where drowning was the #1 cause of death for kids 14 and under. So one of the things that we've done to help combat that is really step up swim lessons. We've gone more than that. Now we partnered up with the Butte Ski Club Foundation and the descendants of Fritz Apostle. And we've named this program after Fritz Apostle, so it's the Fritz Apostle Dream. And every third grader in Butte School District gets 5 hours of water safety. Now, I'm not talking about learning strokes and how to swim recreationally. This is actual water safety, putting rafts in the water, how to throw out to save somebody. And the truth is, one of the reasons that so many kids struggle and die from drowning is because, let's say you go out on a waterway, you're with a friend, they're in the water, they're struggling, and what do? You jump in, and then both of you go. And so we teach the kids how to handle those situations. In fact, our aquatics director for quite some time was Dane Schroeder. He's 6'7", 300+ pounds, and every kid in Butte for several years got to save him. So you'll be like a 70, 80-pound kid, and you can save somebody that big if you do it right. So it's really had a big impact. Over the we weren't able to do it since the pandemic, but we are working with the school district, hopefully this coming April, where we'll bring that back. So each year, there's 8 schools, even Ramsey and Butte Central, all get to come. And we're trying to find a way to maybe capture those 4th graders that didn't have the opportunity. But since then, 2,500 kids have gone through the program. Also, and I am happy to report this, that if you go onto the CDC site, it's no longer the #1 cause. Last time I looked, about a year ago, it had dropped to #2, still not what we want it to be, but we're very confident that in Butte, it's probably not in the top 5 because of the programs that we have going. So it's been really important. Another thing that is beneficial from our aquatic center, and I will say this, and I'll just make a comment about our expenses, and then we'll continue down with these numbers and impact statements. We spent a little under $370,000 last year on operating the aquatic center, and that includes the operating expenses itself and having the pool ready and employees. And you kind of look at that and you say, well, gee, how do I look at direct revenue and how does it support it? And maybe a third of that amount is actual direct revenue. But I'm here to tell you that it feeds and helps so many other ways to help support it, that we actually do very well in keeping the pool up, maintenance-wise, and reaching out to the community and keeping people engaged in water programs. One of the things that has benefited from it that you wouldn't normally see as a water program is what started out to be the Active 6 program back in 2013. And what that was all 6th graders in Butte area received free membership for the year. And we did that in partnership with the Butte School District, all the elementary schools. We also did that in partnership and wouldn't have been able to do it without the Dennis and Phyllis Washington Foundation, they were our primary donor in that regard. I will say that after 3 years of doing that, we felt 1 year wasn't enough. So we have since, about 4 years ago, converted that to the Active Teens program. So all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in Butte-Silver have free membership to the Y. And I will tell you, the activity has been enormous in comparison. When we first had the Active 6 program, maybe 50 to 100 kids in that 6th grade range were coming in and actually using the facility. Since then, in our last report, we had nearly 1,000 kids that were coming in that had signed up for membership, and it increased significantly. So they're using the pool, a lot of that goes on. They're using the fitness center, and actually we have some pretty good stories to tell about the kids that were coming in there. But one of the things that I wanted to share about that in particular is one of our employees, who's now a lifeguard, was in the early time. So he would come down to the Y. He wouldn't necessarily do good stuff, right? So a little bit of abuse of facilities, a little harassment, maybe a little thievery sometimes comes from these kids that don't have anywhere else to be. But once they have a chance to engage with staff, get some relationship going on, then staff can have influence and they can see how to contribute better in the community. And we've had several kids come through the program where we're out and they recognize us, and they're in jobs now and they're doing well. And we have one of our best lifeguards who actually was one of these troubled kids. And he's doing a great job, and he's a lead lifeguard, and we're really proud of him. So that's just one story, but those kind of stories really happen throughout. I have a couple of other stories, but I'd really like to let's go ahead and change the slide. So we also do out-of-school time programming. So this could be after school, it could be swim lessons, it could be whatever that's out of school, right? And a lot of that centers around our aquatic center. So one of the things that we try to do with our out-of-school is to give access to the pools, but any of the program activities that are happening, we want to make sure that everybody participates. And so one of the things that we found that happens with the kids is they get shy, in part because they don't really know what's going on. They don't know the rules of the activity, they don't feel confident in the activity. So we take the time to slow things down and help them understand so they can enjoy and then move on. And then what happens is once they learn, they start teaching the other kids that are coming in. And so we really have a culture of this kids mentoring kids in some ways. One of the things that we do from a character building standpoint is we have core characteristics, and that is caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility. If you were to come down and watch our counselors and employees working with the kids, you would hear these things coming from them, and you will hear it back from the kids. We believe in being open, but let's be respectful of each other, let's be truthful, and let's care about each other. And I'll share one little story in a few minutes where that really is showing up here. Okay, a couple of other things that we do in the Aquatic Center, which is also out of school, is Healthy Kids Day. We generally do that every April, sometimes first part of May. We'll get 200 to 300 kids coming in and their families, and we'll do various activities. Everybody gets into the pool for free. They can also sign up for programs and register for soccer, summer camp, whatever activity we have going on. We do the St. Patty's Day party for the active teens. What we do is we close down the whole facility at about 5 o'clock and then reopen at 6, and the kids can come down there while the rest of us are uptown having fun, right? It's a safe place for them to be. They get dance, they get to swim, they get to watch movies. We pull a projector out in the pool area and they get to watch movies, and it's really been a successful program. We also have pumpkin Easter holiday swims, which are good, and then lastly we do community days on the first Tuesday and third Friday of each month. Individuals can pay $2 and they're in, $5 for a whole family. And that, some people wait just for those days and they want to come in and use it. So it's been pretty good. Okay, so in after school and camps, nearly 2,300 children participated in after school, out of school camps, and summer day camp for the YMCA. Now, one of the reasons why this is important is because the pool is one of the main areas. These kids, at least once a week, get to come into the aquatic center and swim and play games and enjoy the water. During that time, they learn strokes, they learn about safety, and also, if they want to take swim lessons, it's convenient for the parents because our staff will then take them to the lessons when they're done, and then the parents come pick them up. So the kids aren't missing out necessarily because their parent couldn't get down here in time, down to the Y in time. So another thing that happens is, that I wanted to point out is, on a normal basis, over the past 50 years or more, every kid to some degree experiences summer learning loss. It's a real problem. If you're a teacher, you're in the classroom, you always end up spending a month, maybe 2 months sometimes, or even more, just bringing the kids up to where they should be so that you can move them forward for the rest of the year. And that is an issue that we try to manage in our programs through our curriculum. And we even use student teachers sometimes who help with the curriculum, and we have a certified teacher that runs the programs. And so everything that is, all the activities have a purpose, and it's usually through STEM. And there was a study done with Montana State about summer learning loss, and their determination was that kids that attended YMCA camp, compared to all other kids, whether they attended any other camp or just stayed home, were 20% ahead, which is precisely what the learning loss generally is. And that was done back in 2014. We provide homework help, and again, it really builds a lot of confidence in these kids as they come in and interact. We give them responsibilities and those kind of things. I want to say, so I'm going to give you 2 little stories on this one. There was a student teacher, actually she had just graduated and was waiting for a job, and she came to work with us, and it was at the start of our program on what it is today. Her name was Alex, and she was going to be an elementary school teacher, and she worked really hard with us for that whole year, and then she got a teaching position, I believe it was at Kennedy. And her report back to us was that her experience with the YMCA after school better prepared her for her classroom. Day one, she was able to set up, she had control of the room, she knew exactly what she was doing, and she reported back to us that it gave her a lot of confidence, and she felt she was a better teacher for it. Another story that is typical is kids that come in, they're white-knuckled, they're crying, they don't want to come through the doors, and it's usually just a day or two that all of a sudden they start having some confidence. And then within a week or two, they're the ones running into the building, high-fiving the counselors, and encouraging other kids that may not be quite as forward. One of the things we hear back from parents is that the kids often will do better in school because of their confidence and their ability to relate with others. Go ahead and change the slide. Another important program we have is sports, and you'll see 739 youth athletes participating in our sports. One of the things that's important about that is everybody gets to participate, everybody gets to learn the basics, they learn how to compete, they learn about teamwork, learn about leadership, responsibilities that they may have. Everybody might have a different role to accomplish something. So in the end, they can use those skills to do much more than just shoot a ball, kick a ball, those kind of things. One of our success stories, in my opinion, is a young man that came through. He took all the swim lessons. He came through our after school and summer camp. He participated in the sports. And he, last summer, volunteered to coach soccer team. One of our soccer teams did a great job, and the kids loved him. And now he's actually was a counselor for our summer camp and did very well, and is now working in our after school program. So we have those kinds of things that happen for kids that actually participate in our programs. So I really appreciated him. Another thing, go ahead and move to the next slide. So I was very impressed with the previous presentation. Those volunteer hours were amazing. And it is hard to coordinate volunteers. I will say that seniors are a force. And so that's a very good program. I was very pleased to listen in on that. But we had 812 volunteers, and you can see we were about almost 8,800 hours of volunteer. And mostly that'll come in things like sports. There'll be a coach, there'll be a ref, they'll do those things. But there's a lot more also. I'll give you an example of a partnership that we did with Northwestern Energy in their Community Works program. They had 30 of their employees, after a training, come down to the Y, and they worked in the locker rooms and in the aquatic center, renewing, doing deep cleaning, and even a little bit of repair. They went outside, did work on the exterior of the building. They even went out to Sunshine Camp, which is a camp that the Kiwanis allows the Y to use. We have a partnership with them. And they helped prepare that for summer camp. And it was fantastic. So there's a lot of different kinds of volunteering. Also swim team. Generally you have one coach that's paid, and then everybody else is a volunteer. And that's how we operate. If you have a swim meet coming, I can tell you a swim meet requires a lot of volunteers. You might need 50 volunteers minimum to run a swim meet. And we'll do 4 or 5 of those a year. All right, next slide. One thing that we try to remind ourselves of is that employees are also part of the community. So we serve our employees as well. We had 133 employees come through the YMCA last year. And while I have a number up there, that's only just to show you that there is an economic benefit to the community. If you use the Chamber of Commerce's formulas, anywhere from 6 to 8 times that number is the actual economic impact in Butte-Silver Bow. That's just on the employees. But when you think about the bigger impact, the employees often are mentors to all the youth, and 40% of our membership are youth, and have some kind of contact with the program members. But also, they are volunteers with other organizations. You'll frequently find a YMCA employee who serves on a board, who's helping with a fundraiser, who's helping at an event, and I just run into them. A lot of times I don't even know that they're doing it, and then we find ourselves jointly volunteering. Oh, I didn't know you were going to be here. And there truly is a good heart amongst our team, and they're willing to serve Butte-Silver Bow and the community members. Go ahead and put up the next one. These are just some of the partnerships, but you can see how important Butte-Silver Bow is and the school district in our partnership. We also have Denison, Phyllis, Washington, Montana Resources. All of these companies are really big partners for the YMCA. There's too many to just mention. In fact, I couldn't put them all here. Next one. So I did more, and we still didn't capture them all. We have probably 250 to 300 donors each year outside of companies. These are individuals. So we have individuals making contributions. We have companies that do it either in kind, through volunteers, or through monetary means. And it really makes it possible for us to do a lot of the programs that we do. For instance, Butte Ski Club is pivotal in our Fritz Apostle Dream. Denison Phyllis Washington is pivotal in our active teens. And they also provide scholarship money for summer day camp. And because of the Fritz Apostle Dream, we have had many members come up and make donations for scholarships for swim lessons. And probably the most notable one was Betty Whalen. She didn't know anything about it. What a generous person she was. Anyway, she came by and saw a board that showed pictures of all the kids in learning how to swim, and she inquired at the front desk what she could do, and she donated $20,000, which took us about 5 years or more to use up in scholarships. So what happens, so it kind of starts with, we have an aquatic center. It's a state-of-the-art aquatic center. It serves a lot of people. And even though you don't always see the direct support from it, you have donors, you have grants, you have programs, you have members that join the Y because of the pool. It has really become an incredible asset to not only the Y, but to the community and our ability to serve the community. So I think that's that's pretty much it. So unless you have questions, I'm happy to entertain some questions.
Thank you, Philip. It's always a pleasure to hear what you have to say about the Y, because it's so positive, and I loved hearing stories, and I'm sure there's plenty more. Any questions for Mr. Borup from the council? Commissioner Frederickson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Borup, for the great presentation. I just want to say thanks for everything that you guys do. I love the Y. I'm sure, like a lot of people, I grew up at the Y and learned to swim at the Y. My kids have done the after-school program. They just got done with soccer last week. It was great. And I also want to point out that you've served on the Parks and Recreation Board for, well, way longer than I have, in many years, and you've been wonderful on that board to work with, and just appreciate, all you do for our community.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yeah, I would also like to thank you, Phil. I have the opportunity to visit the Y on a regular basis, and what you guys have done with the Y, you, your staff, your board, you've got an incredible board. I see what these kids, how they play and have fun. I see them line up to get on buses, hundreds of them, and you think, wow, how do you do it, And you can do great things with the kids of Butte, and we thank you, and please keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Chief Executive J.P. Gallagher. Almost Morgan.
I just wanted to make a quick comment, so thank you, Madam Chair. Phil, it comes from great leadership, I can tell you that. As Philip has been part of the YMCA, the YMCA has transformed, and he's been a part of the Parks and Rec Board, which we worked closely together on a number of projects, and it's a pleasure to work with him. He has the right ideals of what goes on in our community. He's a partner. It's not a competitive thing when we're working with Parks and Recreation. It's working in partnership together as a community. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that too.
And as you know, the council, we do provide an annual contribution, I would say, from the Council of Commissioners, and we've always felt like every dime has been very carefully and well spent. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And just want to extend an invitation to any of you. If you ever have any questions or concerns, please just call me direct. I'm happy to discuss it. Or if you need me to come back and address any issues. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. All right, moving on to the main body of our Committee of the Whole meeting here. We'll start with communication number 2021-131, Ed Lester, Butte-Silver Bow Sheriff, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence and authorization for the Chief Executive to sign the MOU between Butte-Silver Bow and the Southwest Montana Drug Task Force. Sheriff Lester advised me today that he's still awaiting the corrected MOU, that we can go forward on this, so we will continue to hold that in abeyance. Item 2 is communication number 2021-299, Tristan Thomas, residing in Butte, Montana, requesting Council of Commissioners to authorize Tristan Thomas to purchase the following property located at 2422 Pine Street, Butte, Montana. That one we are holding for a survey, if I recall, and we will continue to hold that in our Committee of the Whole until a future time when that survey is completed. Item 3 is communication number 2021-335, Michael and Kelly Ann Hoven, 241 William Street, Walkerville, Montana, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to purchase vacant land currently owned by Butte-Silver Bow. The land we are hoping to acquire includes a 1.06 acre parcel and a segment of another 10-acre tract that also is held in abeyance for land survey to be completed. We will keep that in the Committee of the Whole. Item 4, communication number 2021-351, Hannah Van Wetter, Foothold co-founder, pardon me, CEO, requesting Council of Commissioners consideration to sell the city-county vacant lot at the corner of 350 East Granite Street, legally described as Thornton Addition, South 13, Township 3, North, Range 8, West, Block 3, Lot 12, Moonlight, West 10 feet of Lot 1, Block 7. And we are holding that in the Land Sales Department to be awaiting their recommendation on that one. Item 5, communication number 2021-390, Pat Holland, Government Building Manager, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence for a bid opening on August 18th, 2021 regarding the Motherlode Theater fire suppression and annunciation systems. If you recall, we did not have any bids at the original bid opening, and he put it back out to bid, and we're still awaiting for the new revised date that we will be having that bid opening. Hold that in advance as well. The next item is communication number 2021-395. Mindy Deal, Foster Grandparent Program Director, and Kelly Moody, Senior Companion Program Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence for a presentation on Wednesday, September 8th, 2021, for their annual request for funds supporting Rocky's Foster Grandparent and Senior Companion Programs. We just had that presentation, so Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place communication 2021-395 on file.
We have a motion and a second to place communication 2021-395 on file. Anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
12 yeas, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Communication number 2021-401, Margie Seckham, Action Inc., CEO, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence for a presentation on Wednesday, September 1st, 2021, to provide information about our work to address homelessness in Butte and how funds contributed by Butte-Silver support the work. We did move that to September 22nd, so we will hold this in advance awaiting that presentation. Item 8, communication number 2021-402, Philip Borup, YMCA Chief Executive Officer, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence for a presentation on Wednesday, September 8th, 2021, to report on the YMCA pool contract and our community impact. As we all just heard, that has occurred, so Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place communication 2021-402 on file.
We have a motion and a second to place communication 2021-402 on file. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
12 yeas, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Item 9 is communication number 2021-406, Kelly Katani, MSU Extension Silver County 4-H Youth Development Family Consumer Science Agent, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence for a presentation on September 15th, 2021 agenda for the discussion of annual funding for the MSU Extension Office. We will hold that in advance until September 15th. Item 10, communication number 2021-411, Mary McCormick, Historic Preservation Officer, requesting Council of Commissioners for their authorization for a bid opening on September 8th, 2021, Committee of the Whole agenda for the Caretaker's House Restoration Project. And I believe we did place that on file, but we'll make sure that we do it if we have to on a second time. Commissioner Frederickson.
All right, let's do it. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place communication 2021-411 on file.
We have a motion and a second to place communication 2021-411 on file. Anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
12 yeas, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Item 11 is communication number 2021-423, Tina Master, Discovery House Program Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence to make a presentation on September 15th, 2021, per J.P. Gallagher's request. We will hold that in advance until September 15th. Item 12, communication number 2021-435, Kathy Griffith, Butte Emergency Food Bank Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence to make a presentation on Aid for the Needy grant on September 15th, 2021, per J.P. Gallagher's request. We will hold that in advance. And the last item here is communication number 2021-436, Dylan Pipinich, Assistant Planning Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence to hold a public hearing on September 22nd, 2021, to hear public comment on zone change application rezone-21-50 and we will hold that in abeyance until September 22nd. I'm looking out there. I don't imagine we have any public comment on any matter not on the agenda. Colleen, are there any things we read in the record? Anything else to come before us? Commissioner Shea, and then
Thank-
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would you just remind the council and the public about the memorial service tomorrow morning at the Health Department?
About the what now?
The memorial service for the COVID victims in Butte-Silver Bow?
Yes. So tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in front, it would be on the south lawn of the Health Department. There will be a memorial service, and Father Barreto will be presiding, and they will be talking about a memorial to all the 90 people that have died of COVID-19 in the Butte-Silver Bow. And everyone is invited to come. So if you should like to do that, please do. 9 o'clock. Thank you. Anything else? Commissioner Anderson.
Just wanted to let everybody know, thank you very much for the continued prayers and support for what arguably has been the worst month of my life, between a couple of heart surgeries, losing my grandmother, and everything else going on in my life. It has been really good to get back to a little bit of normalcy. So
Can only get better, Bill.
thank you all very much. Thank you all out there in Radio Land listening for all the prayers outside, all the comments and everything on Facebook and emails I received. The past 6 weeks has really been awesome. So thank you, everyone.
Welcome back, Bill. Anything else to come before us?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.